Hi everybody, I'm Sam, and today I'm going to step through some of the key tools and equipment that you should have at home from a maintenance perspective, and also that you should take out on trail. So things that'll get you out of trouble. And I know we've all got beautiful bikes that you never have any issues with, but really sometimes things just happen. So I'm just going to take you through some of the stuff that I take out on trail and give you some ideas about what you can do for yourself. This bike is, it's got a roll-off gear hub, so it's a little bit different to a lot of bikes. So punctures is something that you have to think about with any of the internal gear hub systems. So step number one, I always check my tyre pressures before I go out, and have a look at our video on how you can do that. But tyre pressures is one of the reasons that it's one of the things that will help you to avoid getting any flat tyres at all. If you really want to bomb-proof it, go for something like Tannis tyre liners, or there's a lot of products out on the market which make your tyres just puncture proof. So that is an option too. If you're going to be an adventurous rider, it might be a good thing to consider. So delving into my handbag, not something that I recommend that you do with many women, but anyway. On this particular bike, it's got a rear rack, so I carry a set of panniers on this. Even though I've got a bucket, I carry a set of panniers because I can just take it from one bike to the next. And what's in this is, now there's a few things here which not everyone's going to carry, but so firstly, I have a lock. I mean, most of us are going to have locks of some sort, but I carry my lock in my bag because it's just easier. Generally, I'm going to pick up some groceries, so that's what that bit's for. Again, not everyone wants that. But let's get into some of the nitty-gritty stuff. So tools. This is a really handy little toolkit. So, and there are all sorts of brands that do this. This particular one is a Lazine. It's got 10 little tools on it. So it's a combination of Torx head and Allen keys, and all the main ones that tend to be used on most bikes. Absolutely any bike is going to need at least a T25 Torx head. It's on this tool, and you can buy them individually too if you haven't got one at home. And pretty much every bike is going to need a variety of Allen key sizes. So 3, 4 and 5 mil are the most popular on most of the bikes, but it's quite handy to have a few extras up your sleeve as well, because each bike is a little bit different. So I use this simple one on this bike because it's internal hub and it doesn't have a chain and a derailleur. What else do I carry when I'm out on trail? So I always have this. So this brand is Velox, but there are many brands. It's a sealant and an inflator if you do get a flat tyre. Get you out of trouble probably 80 to 90% of the time if you haven't seriously damaged your tyre. It's just a foam, it screws onto your valve, it inflates it and it seals at the same time, and it can be the way you can get home without having to call for a taxi or emergency help. Always carry that. Okay, diving into the bag again. So I always carry a spare tube, and it's important to know what size tube you need as well. Now this particular bike has got 2 different size tyres, but in this rear I'm not going to change this out on trail, so I'm going to put a puncture proof solution into that rear wheel, but the front wheel I can actually change on trail. You can buy little just mini puncture changing kits, so with your tyre levers and things like that, and always just try and carry like a small pump as well, or the CO2 canister. Now that's going to take me to my next bag. So the other bag I take, because I ride a mountain bike as well, but this pretty much applies to any bike that doesn't have a rear pannier rack, and some of us do prefer to ride with a backpack. So with a derailleur and a chain, you've got a few extra things to think about, because chains can drop, you can catch your derailleur. In this bag, I've got a different toolkit and a couple of extra things as well. So because my mountain bike or non-internal hub bike has got a chain, I've got a toolkit which it's got all sorts of things here, but it has a chain splitter. I carry a power link, so I can put an extra chain in if I need to, if my chain has snapped. And I also carry a spare hanger, because if you get caught up in a tree or stick flicks up or something like that, it's just a super easy change, and that's actually the job of the hanger, is to brake and protect your drivetrain. So I carry those. I carry a different toolkit with me when I'm out on those sorts of rides. Diving into this bag as well, those sorts of rides generally means we're pushing it a little bit. So rail trail, any sort of forest, I carry a little first aid kit. Yes, I've got my Velox here for the flats. I've got my spare tube. Now this is specifically for the mountain bike that I ride. And I generally prefer to ride with a camelback because that's my water. When I'm climbing, when I'm descending, I don't like to be reaching out for a water bottle. So this is my water source. But I'll carry this bag as well. I could be out on this bike, and if I'm going for a really, really long ride, I'll take this as well, because who knows when you're going to need some of the stuff that's in here as well. So one of the things I always do before I go out is to check my tyre pressures. Just invest in a pump like this at home. You've got a gauge on it. It tells you what pressures you need. Have a look at our video on how you check what your tyre pressures are. It's just a really simple little thing you can do, and these are not expensive. You can pay a lot of money if you want to, but you don't have to. It sits at home in the garage, really, really easy to use. So as well as having the bike pump in your garage, another really super handy and highly recommended tool set is the torque wrench. Particularly if you've got a bike that's got custom parts on it, so for example Reese & Muller's with their custom headsets, but pretty much any high-end bike, any bike that recommends that you have torqued your bolts up to certain Newton meters, you should get one of these. It'll save you so much time, and it will be a safety issue as well if you don't tighten it correctly. Different size headings for the different size nuts. You set your torque, and you can buy these from a bike shop, Bunnings. It's something we highly recommend that you have. Okay, so I hope that helps. There's nothing worse than being caught out somewhere where something's happened and you're not quite sure how to fix it, but I'm not a mechanic, and I'm not even really that mechanically minded, but most of the time with those little tools, I can get myself out of trouble, and that's the main thing. You can get yourself out of trouble back home where someone who really knows what they're doing can fix what's going on.